It is Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. Welcome to another edition of Baseball Today. And in the co-host chair today is none other than actually one of my favorite co-hosts, the Dirty Martini, Jolly Olive. Producer Dan, intern Sawyer on the ride as well. Jolly, the New York Mets, best team in the National League. How you feeling right now? I know you got swept, but things are still good.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't won a game in a while. Worried about that. We got the Braves and the Phillies and then the Braves for the next 10 games. So
you're scared of the division.
We're going to learn a lot about the NL East in the next 10 days. We're going to find out. But I'm excited. I'm good. A lot of good ball to talk about. Big trade happened.
I do like talking ball with you, so I'm upset you missed yesterday. It was a big episode, but shout out to our guy, Jimmy Nort, for coming in. He did a great job.
Crushed it.
If we're being honest with the people, I wasn't sure how he was going to do.
It's a tough
first. I know he can throw the ball, but can he talk ball? And turns out he can talk ball. We're going to start this episode, like we always do, my man Jolly, with the tip of the cap. And this one goes, this is outside of my comfort zone, college ball. Gage Wood, a junior on Arkansas, he threw a 19 strikeout no-hitter in the College World Series. It's the third no-hitter in history. Immediately shows the Arkansas logo on his chest. And what I know about people from Arkansas and Alabama, they are proud to be from Arkansas or Alabama. Your reaction to this, Jolly?
Yeah, I was in Nebraska over the weekend doing some stuff for Best Western. So I didn't see this game, but I did see Arkansas lose their first game. So this was a survival game for them. And to put up a performance like that, Gage Wood has some dog in him. The quote after the game was awesome when he was with Danny Wexelman and just said, "I wish I didn't hit that guy," and had nothing else to say. Thought that was brilliant. So shout out Gage Wood putting the team on his back. Arkansas still alive in the College World Series because of that guy.
College baseball to me is half regular baseball, half banana ball. That's kind of where I have it at because these guys are nuts.
So the Sellies are a little crazy.
The Sellies are not a little crazy. They're insane. There's a lot of young testosterone-driven males out there.
Biggest stage they've ever played on. You know, they're used to playing in front of like nobody for a 50-game regular season. Then all of a sudden, Charles Schwab Field. That's a proper stadium. We had 25,000 people in there, packed house, screaming, and he fed off the energy.
No, I love it. Look, I understand it. I understand the emotion. So shout out Gage Wood. What a performance. Now let's get to some pro ball, if that's okay with you. And we're talking the best to do it right now. Shohei Ohtani made his pitching return yesterday against the Padres. This is his first start since having, the brace internal Tommy John adjacent surgery in 2023. He threw 28 pitches. It was only for one inning, like they said it was going to be. He allowed some soft contact hits, but the stuff looked great. He topped out at 100.2, some nasty sliders along the way. He also went 2 for 4 at the plate. He had an RBI double, an RBI single, and a walk as the Dodgers beat the Padres 6-3. I guess, what'd you see from him? Did you like him on the mound, and give your reaction to him coming back?
Yeah, I mean, definitely fun to watch. I thought his pitch mix was interesting. Only threw one splitter, didn't throw any cutters. Those are pitches he usually uses more than his sinker, which he threw 8 of yesterday. He got boned pretty hard on a Machado check swing. That was like the most checkiest check swing ever to not get called. That would have been a strikeout. Instead, it turns into a sac fly. Overall, some soft contact against him, 3 whiffs on 13 swings. I think you like a lot of what you see. He faced a pretty good lineup as his first litmus test, especially the top half of that order. And it was just fun to watch him make his debut against the Padres, because I said this on Twitter last week. I'm going to say it again. I'm sick of these Dodgers players pretending that the Padres are not their rival when they very clearly are. And every time they play against each other, it's must-watch TV. It was the same case last night. Everyone was watching this game. I think Ohtani helped out a little bit, but still, it's the best rivalry in baseball right now. Stop pretending it's not, especially when you're using Shohei Ohtani as an opener to amplify that series even more.
Wow, best rivalry in baseball. Machado actually, after the game, called it a rivalry. As we know, Max Muncy a couple weeks ago said out, no, he said the Giants are our rival. And I tend to agree with Muncy there. Like, they are the rival.
You can have multiple rivals, though.
I sort of disagree with that. I think
Let me ask you this real quick before we go on. With the Mets and the Braves and the Phillies, would you say only one of those pairs is a rivalry?
Who's like the number one rivalry? I think it's the Braves, right?
I think it's both, but I'd say it's probably Mets Braves. I think the Phillies.
Okay, so the number one rivalry, there's the number one, the longest lasting rivalry, right? I agree. Look, I love watching the Padres play the Dodgers. I think it's I think it's blossoming into a rivalry, but without a doubt, it's LA San Francisco. I mean, there is a lot of history and bad blood and hate saying this, some spill blood between
Yeah,
those two fan bases. It's
true.
insane. So it
Not to
doesn't get that way with Padres Dodgers like it does Giants Dodgers, but it doesn't really matter. It's a word, Jolly, and
not
words are just noises that you make with your mouth. Okay,
I'm
we
talking with English,
understand.
all right? I specialized in words. Come on.
I understand these games are great. I was going to ask you something else. Oh yeah, so what I liked about this was I believe, and Angels fans got to come at me here. Maybe producer Dan can get on this. I believe this is the first time Ohtani was hitting leadoff as a starting pitcher.
Oh,
And so he didn't even get to go back into the dugout after the inning was over. It was a 12-minute inning. And on that 13th minute of the game, he was standing in the on deck circle with all his stuff. They laid out all of his batting equipment on the warning track by the dugout. So the guy just goes from starting pitching straight into the box. And that is, I don't know, people, like that just still gets me excited. Like you just don't see that. We're not talking about the third inning in the 9 spot coming up for the pitcher. He's leading off the game after starting it also. It's just something that it'll never cease to amaze me. So I'm all about that. And hopefully you can check that out, Dan. I believe it's
I'm checking for you right now. He did it 23 games in 2021 and 32 games in 2022. I don't know how many of those were starts, but
okay.
I think it's happened before.
Haven't seen it in a while. It just caught my attention. It was pretty awesome right there. Did you see the Dylan Cease to Andy Page's hit by pitch?
I sure did.
And what do you think about that? Because most people are saying it wasn't intentional. I tend to agree. Andy Pages said after the game that he thought they might have been going after him because they said he was relaying signs from second base. The Padres did not take that side. They said it was unintentional. And Manny Machado said, there's a lot of big dogs on that team. If we wanted to go after somebody, they would have went after somebody bigger. This is, a year after Will Smith called Jurickson Profar Mr. Irrelevant.
Right.
And now this is Machado basically doing the same thing to the Dodgers, although he said, I'm rooting for Andy Pages. He's having a great season. So a little bit, I guess more a nicer way of saying it from Manny Machado. But this is not intentional.
No, I don't think it's intentional at all. I think it's kind of fun, the aftermath of it. Like Mike Schilt, I know I've said this on the show before. I still can't believe the Cardinals let that guy go. He's such a maniac, and I feel like players love to play for him because he's crazy. He's barking at Andy Pages from the dugout. Who do you think you are? That's insane. But no, I mean this feeds into what I was saying before. I fully acknowledge that Dodgers Giants is the main rivalry, but for Muncy to say like, this, we don't think of them as our rivals, and then for something like this to happen and you see the jawing back and forth and you see the post-game quotes, like these guys want to win these games and they take things like that personally because like Machado said, there's a bunch of dogs on either side of the ball field here. So I thought that was really interesting, but no, I don't think it was intentional. I think out of all pitchers on the Padres, Dylan Cease is like the last guy to plunk a guy intentionally.
Agreed. I think what's causing most people to say, yeah, this is a new rivalry is the amount of times they've played each other in the playoffs recently.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that just adds to it. And they're probably on a collision course to do it again this season. And that is great for baseball and great for us because we love when teams – I love when teams hate each other, and these teams hate each other.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Speaking of hating, a lot of hate going around in Boston here, and I'm so happy you're here because this is the story that keeps on giving. We had a bunch of quotes and reports about Rafael Devers. Obviously, the trade goes down. He's a Giant. If you haven't heard that, you're living under a rock. What a scene that was yesterday. The most interesting quotes to me have come from David Ortiz, who was supposed to be the guy that was getting Devers and the Red Sox like in line with each other. He was supposed to be the liaison. He was trying to act that way. But this came out yesterday. He said, you can't imagine how many times I wrote to Devers trying to give him advice, but unfortunately he has communication problems. He almost never returned my messages. Another report came out and said that Devers was unhappy with Christian Campbell for volunteering to take drills at first base because it looked like a slight at Devers' statute. Where are you on all of this going down? I mean, the question I want to ask you is, do you think this will end up being good for the Red Sox like clubhouse? But that's not even really the question at hand here. It's I guess whose side are you on here? Are you on Devers' side saying like, man, they really screwed the communication with him up about the positional switches, or are you one of the guys that's like, you know what? It's the team, and that's a team first, and you got to fall in line. That's basically what Ortiz said. There's other quotes of him saying, the team has all the power, and you need to mature and realize that at some point. So are you Red Sox side or Devers side?
I mean, for this to come from Big Papi, who is, Red Sox legend and like I think has the ear of Boston's people, it's a pretty damning indictment on Devers. And I'm sure I agreed with a lot of what you guys said on Talking Baseball of there was a brutal communication failure from the Bregman signing to now, and that I think part of this could have been salvaged. But also at the end of the day, Breslow's not the guy that signed Rafael Devers. Chaim Bloom was. He gave him all that money, and when Breslow came in, that was the anchor that he either had to work around or embrace, and he very clearly tried to work around it and did so successfully. I don't know, man. Like, I think I'm still on Devers' side because at the end of the day, he's the face of that franchise. He's easily the most talented hitter. And the prime example of a team maneuvering around what they consider to be a detriment to their clubhouse to win baseball games is the Red Sox keeping Manny Ramirez on their team for 4 years when they were constantly trying to trade him. And they won 2 World Series out of that. And Manny Ramirez was a big reason why. I'm not saying that Manny was perfect by any means. There's a lot of stories of Manny with clubhouse members and stuff like that. And there's stories you don't want to hear coming from that. But I do think at the end of the day, the Red Sox are still pretty nuts for taking the first opportunity they got to offload this contract. And whether you think it's a communication ladder issue, a Devers personality issue, I still think that these are issues that could have been worked out through the goings of this season. Maybe in the offseason, if it stayed this bad or worsened, you reevaluate. But to do it in early June in such an abrasive way and really shock the core of your organization, I think is a detriment to the Red Sox, no matter what way you spin this, no matter what way you interpret Ortiz's comments. And I still can't believe this is the timeline we're in. I really didn't think it would happen.
It's crazy. And I think so. I've had, a day, I guess, now to think about what's gone on. And my ultimate takeaway is if this was strictly a baseball decision, if Craig Breslow and the front office was like, we can reallocate this money and we can, I guess, get the log jam out of our lineup, then I guess I'm okay with it. Like you got, I think, a month and a half to the trade deadline. Like you better fix some things and make this a better ball club and reallocate those assets. Like if that's what they're thinking truly, then I guess I still think it's not a great trade for them. But he can prove me wrong. If they go out and they acquire maybe some more bullpen help, or they go out and get a frontline starter, or, like there are things that he can do. And I mentioned this yesterday on the show. I mean, he's got a blueprint. The Yankees just went through this entire situation. Obviously, it's a little bit different, but they lose Juan Soto, who was, obviously a huge part of their lineup, but they reallocated those resources that when they didn't sign him, and they went out and signed a bunch of different players to make them a more complete team. If he does that and the Red Sox make the playoffs, I don't think we can say anything to him. But if this is because you're mad because there's some bad comments by him in spring training and you didn't like his attitude, this is pro sports, bro. Like elite athletes a lot of times have egos and like have attitudes. Not everyone's perfect. Not everyone is Aaron Judge. Okay. And I know Dan Rourke is smiling back there. Not everyone is like that. That is like, hey, cool, calm, collected. Some guys are dogs, and when they feel like they're being mistreated, they're going to bite at you. And look, that's just the one thing that can't happen. You can't, as a front office, the leader of the front office, or the leader of the organization of baseball ops, you can't take things personally. It has to be for the betterment of the franchise, no matter what. So if this was the case, and he's just mad that Devers didn't act accordingly, then I'm so out on it. But I can't wait, Jolly. I can't wait for this weekend.
I mean, I got one thing on Craig Breslow before we move on. One, I really do wish that the initial press conference wasn't a Zoom call. I wish
Unbelievable that it was
that is
unfreaking
such a
believable.
horrible look. I know that they're in Seattle, but still, like that's a terrible look. Two, the quote that really dug at me a little bit and kind of made me even more pro Devers was yesterday. Breslow said during the press conference, quote, "I absolutely need to have the humility to think back on the interactions and figure out what I could have done better." That clip circulated, but if you watch the full press conference right after, Breslow doubles down and says, "But I don't think I would have done anything differently." Like if you're on one hand saying that you think that you might have done things differently with a grace of humility, and then immediately after say, "Nah, I stand by my decisions," how can I take anything what you're saying seriously? Like it's just, it feels like he's playing both sides of the coin and trying to rationalize it too much when you made an organization shaking move and you can't even face the music by doing in-person press conference. It really rubbed me the wrong way and it made me much more pro Devers. I do see both sides. I take Ortiz's comments with great value because I don't think he's embellishing in any way. I don't think he'd do that. It's a shitty situation and I think it was handled shitty.
Golly, man. I think this is going to be the gift that keeps on giving. Like I mentioned, they're playing this weekend, Jolly.
Oh, yeah.
They are playing this weekend.
Must see
And did Alex Cora talk yesterday?
I forget who it was. I think it was Duran said that Cora was the only person to address the players. They hadn't heard from any of the front office members. Oh, man. Which is also horrible. Like that's so bad, dude.
Yeah, in a move like this, you'd think that Breslow would be with the team. Okay.
Former player, like former longtime Red Sox, former Red Sox champion, Craig Breslow. Like you gotta, I don't know, man. You gotta.
Well, Jolly, I'll tell you what. Our skin looks great. Me and you. And a big reason, especially for me, is because of Caldera Lab. This episode is brought to you by Caldera Lab. Let's be real. Most skincare products aren't made for men, and when they are, they're usually not great. They're overcomplicated, packed with questionable ingredients, or just don't deliver results. That is where Caldera Lab comes in. They've redefined men's skincare by combining advanced science with high-quality, non-toxic ingredients to create a simple, effective routine that works. Each product, like the Good, the Eye Serum, and the Base Layer, is formulated to support skin health and improve the look and feel of your skin. In a consumer study, men who use Caldera Lab products reported noticeable improvements. 100% said their skin looked smoother and healthier. 96.9 saw an improvement in skin hydration and texture, and 93.8 said their skin had a more youthful appearance. I've been using it a lot over the last 3 months, I believe it is, and my skin looks phenomenal. I mean, you can see it right now, but get up close and personal, it's even better, people. Skincare doesn't have to be complicated, but it should be good. Upgrade your routine with Caldera Lab and see the difference for yourself. Go to calderalab.com/today and use code TODAY at checkout for 15% off your first order. You will not be disappointed. My skin does look good, doesn't it?
I mean,
I've been using it. Eye serum, the oil, the foundation moisturizer.
Father's Day, birthday glow. What do you want me to say?
Oh my gosh! All right, this is I think the question I'm most excited to ask you. Okay, it was a big day for the youth movement in Major League Baseball as two rookies delivered statement swings yesterday. Two big dogs. Roman Anthony launched his first Major League homer against the Mariners as they get their win in the post Devers era. And then Nick Kurtz of the A's came through with a clutch walk-off homer against the Astros and had just a great reaction. He wants to party with the boys. Love the bat flip towards the dugout. Nothing better than that. And he is an absolute massive human, by the way. So here is the question. Both the A's and the the A's and the Red Sox have young doers that were called up to the league this year. Anthony and Christian Campbell for the Red Sox. You can add Marcelo Meyer in there. But for this exercise, we're going Roman Anthony and Tristan Campbell. And then for the A's, we're going Nick Kurtz and Jacob Wilson. Which young duo would you rather build a team around?
That's an excellent question.
It really is.
I think it's easier if it's Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer because I think I'd probably just pick those two based on prospect acclaim and sheer talent. But it gets a lot more interesting when Christian Campbell's the guy involved because I'm worried about Christian Campbell. Like there are some warning signs that are popping up. The biggest one is that I don't know where this guy's going to play long term. -8 outs above average at second base is the worst mark in the league. They've been trying him out at left field. You can't move him to a different infield position. So that alone is scaring me. I mean, the batted ball profile is everything you'd expect from a young player. He's hitting fastballs. He's not hitting breaking and off speed. I think I'm going with the A's boys on this one. Like I don't understand how Jacob Wilson's doing it. His offensive approach is bizarre, to say the least. I mean, completely rejecting walks and relying solely on contact, but he's absolutely doing it. He's not hitting the ball particularly hard, but it doesn't really matter when you're an all fields hitter and you're able to access that part of your game so easily. And he has no weakness against any class of pitch. He's hitting over 320 against fastballs, breaking, and off speed. And Nick Kurtz has been really hitting his stride as of late. Like, 10 extra base hits and 119 at bats as a 21-year-old who got drafted last year. Like, that's nothing to scoff at. Like, he's really finding his approach. And, you saw that celebration last night was absolutely electric. One thing I like about the A's duo, very high bat speeds. That's like the new sexy peripheral that everyone's kind of looking towards for, can you really hack it at a major league level and catch up to high heat and, get real bat speed behind your swing for true power. Both these guys are doing it. They're really exciting to watch. I have all the faith in the world that Roman Anthony is going to turn into a superstar because that's what the Red Sox has been telling us. And they also told me Devers, so it better happen. But I really like this A's duo. They're making the Sacramento A's fun to watch.
Jolly, there is no guarantee on any player. We know that. Roman Anthony does look the part, and I do agree with you that Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony versus Nick Kurtz and Jacob Wilson is a completely different discussion.
Yes.
And maybe we'll save that for a different time. But in this exercise, I am also going with Nick Kurtz and Jacob Wilson. I'll tell you how Jacob Wilson's doing it. He's got the best hand-eye coordination possibly on the planet. The way he starts his swing completely open, just keeps moving until he gets square with the pitcher. And then, like you said, it doesn't matter what pitch is thrown. The barrel is getting there no matter what. And this is a thing. He seems to have that magic wand where the ball always lands in the right place, or it always grounds into the right place. It's like the ball has eyes. It's ridiculous, man. But Nick Kurtz, yes, he struggled like right away. And then I think he went on the IL this year. But his minor league numbers, although it's 33 games, are ridiculous. And like his profile was he takes his walks with prodigious power. There was a picture I put up yesterday of me and Jim Tomei. Somebody tagged it, and he just I look like a child next to Jim Tomei. I always said he's a real life superhero. He looks like Mr. Incredible. Nick Kurtz is that big. He's a big dude. You mentioned the bat speed. I think the Oakland A's have an incredibly talented offense that if they could just find some semblance of a pitching staff could actually be very, very competitive in this league. They just don't have that right now. It's ridiculous what they're throwing out there on the pitching side of things. But what Jacob Wilson can do as a table setter, as a shortstop, I think it just puts both those guys over the top of Campbell and Anthony. I agree with you on Campbell. There's even talks about that. There's so much blowout from the Devers trade. There's front office people coming out and saying there is a rift between analytics and on-field coaches because the on-field coaches are feeling like the fundamentals are lost and they're basing everything on swing mechanics instead of regular swings. They're not going out and playing defense and practicing it enough. And maybe they got a point there because you mentioned Christian Campbell, what he's done defensively does not look good. Roman Anthony had he zooed his ball on his debut, and they had him out there the next day taking ground balls in front of the media, basically. They got to figure that stuff out. So I'm 100% riding with the A's guys there. And I think maybe an even better question is, what if we said Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell, Roman Anthony, and then I went Kurtz, Wilson, and say Lawrence Butler
or Soderstrom.
Like I think you're going with the A's. I think it's a better youth movement happening with the A's, and all we hear about is the Red Sox.
And we'll see. It could change a month from now. I do I'm glad you shouted out the Roman Anthony defensive drills thing. I think that was in June Lee's article for Yahoo Sports yesterday, which is a really interesting.
There's a lot of good articles out there.
A lot of good articles going around right now. But that is really it. I mean, my favorite thing about Wilson and Kurtz, and I was definitely wrong about Wilson's bat speed, by the way. It's actually the lowest in the league.
Yeah, no, the guys that have contact like that.
Yeah, they're not.
Arise has slow bat speed. Yes.
But you look at both their spray charts. It's a fun watch. I mean, all of Wilson's power comes from the pull side, but his singles are everywhere. And then Kurtz, he has 7 home runs at the major league level. 3 of them are to left field as a lefty. Like that's
That the field he plays at is an absolute joke. I'll tell you that right now. I wonder if Jacob Wilson can, like, what his max bat speed is, because there's a lot of times I feel like he doesn't even finish his swing.
Right. Yeah, I wonder too.
He's got what I always say, Jolly, you need a bunch of clubs in the bag. He's got a bunch of clubs in the bag too, man. That guy can do anything offensively. And he's kind of a dog, dude. When I talked to him, he was like nice to me, but also he was like, who the fuck is this guy?
He's got baseball in his blood too, and I always like that.
Yeah, his dad's a stud. Love that. All right, let's move on.
Enough gushing.
A trio of arms stole the show today yesterday with dominant performances in their team's wins. Ryan Pepio was nearly untouchable for the Rays, going 8 strong against the Orioles, allowing just 1 run on 4 hits. He struck out 11. They won 7-1. Jose Soriano went in to the Bronx and absolutely dismantled Dan Rourke's Yankees. He shut him down in Stanton's return, and Lucas Giolito out there in Seattle. He was in control for the Red Sox. 6 scoreless innings against the Mariners. He allowed 3 hits and struck out 10. Which of these performances yesterday impressed you the most? Dan Rourke in our ear saying it's a D-juice baseball, Soriano.
Yeah, he didn't care about that until yesterday. It's interesting. I'm very happy that Gio's been having a better stretch lately, back-to-back outings of 6 innings, no earned runs. That's nice to see. Get him back on the right track. This is it's coming down to the 2 young guys for me between Jose Soriano and Ryan Pepio. I will say this. He's not the guy I'm going with, but watch out for that Tyler Glasnow trade, because right now it's looking Rays favored, especially when you lump in the money and the injury concern there. Pepio's been a horse for the Tampa Bay Rays. He's been very, very good. 6+ innings in 7 of his 8 last starts, 11 of 15 on the year. He's got his whole arsenal working, but long term, I really like what Jose Soriano's been bringing to the plate. He hasn't allowed a home run in 57 innings. His last 10 starts, he's not allowed a single home run. I love sinker ball guys. You know, I'm making a Mets again, but the Mets pitching lab has prioritized sinker ballers and ground ball specialists. Soriano, 99th percentile ground ball rate on the year, 67.2%. It's one of the highest rates in the league. And he's throwing 98 on his sinker, man. Like, that is a tough thing to get in the air, let alone get contact on, not to mention his 92-mile-per-hour splitter. I watched his whole start yesterday because there was no Mets baseball, so I was watching just kind of around the league, hopping around, and he looked really, really impressive against a good Yankees lineup. And I think the Angels have something special there in Jose Soriano.
They do. It's not an easy place to go in and do what he did. I love baseball's so funny, man. Like, we got away from the sinker because, you know, the 4-seam ride fastball was all the rage, but it's only because guys hadn't really seen that too much. You know, the spin was different. Guys were figuring out how to increase their spin rate. Balls were, you know, more life at the top of the zone. Great. A lot of swing and miss there. And that's what everyone wanted. We need to swing and miss. Problem is, Jolly, once big league hitters figured out how to hit that pitch, you know what happens to high fastballs with spin? They leave the ballpark.
They sure do.
They leave the freaking ballpark. If you don't place it perfectly, that shit's gone. Oh, and the sinker, guess what? It's hard to lift a sinker. And you know what ground balls are in the big leagues? They're outs. Yes. And like, the fact that we got away from sinkers for a little bit is just crazy to me. And it just goes to show this game is so cyclical and people need to relax. They need to relax. Okay. Like, it's still ball. I think that needs to be like a quote on every analytical office. It's still ball.
It's still ball.
Let's help out. This is great. We love the data. It's still ball. Okay. I'm glad you went with Soriano because I'm going to go with Pepio. I'm one of the guys that always says don't trade with the Rays. But this looks very, very good for them. I'm a changeup guy also. So whenever like a right-hander throws right on right changes, I kind of like fall in love. And Pepio is one of those guys that does have the 4-seam ride fastball, but he plays the changeup off of that. So I really like that. You mentioned, you know, the depth that he's going in each of his starts. Since 420, I kind of cherry pick these numbers. No big deal. Since 420, he's had 11 starts. He's thrown to a 2.53 ERA, 60 Ks in 67 innings. He's a guy that has soft contact. And when you have a defense like that, why wouldn't you pitch to your defense? So Pepio looked great. I noticed yesterday he's got big old skis on him, kind of like a Spencer Strider look in those shoes. I don't know what size he wears, but that just caught my eye. And that's why we're the best show, because we notice things like that.
The subtle details.
Subtle details. I've always loved changeups, Jolly. I don't really know why. Just always been a big changeup fan. Jeremy Hellickson, remember him?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, good changeup. James Shield, big game James.
So you just like the Rays, is what you're saying.
I once took a 2-1 changeup off James Shields and took it. I don't know if I think I got on base. I don't know if I got a hit or a walk. The next day, he comes up and, he always had the hat down. He was like, Plouffe, how the hell you lay off that 2-1 changeup, dog? How you lay out that? I was like, because I knew you were going to fucking throw it, dude. You always do 2-1 changeups.
Is that a Southern drawl impression? Is that what I'm hearing?
It's weird, no, because he's from my area. He's from Santa Clarita, but he had that deep voice. Maybe I messed up. I don't know.
I liked it.
I got something to tell you about, though. Today's episode is brought to you by Mando. You ever step outside and feel you're instantly drenched in sweat? It's like no matter what you do, it doesn't stop. If you've been struggling with the heat and humidity like I have great news. Mando has just launched something that takes sweat control to the next level. Introducing the Mando Deodorant Plus Sweat Control Solid Stick. It's double protection. Finally, you get the odor control you love with Mando, plus powerful sweat control. Mando Starter Pack is a perfect gift for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like a mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Just use code JMBaseball at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. All right, Joel, to end things here, we're going to talk about the All-Star ballots. The first round of voting came out yesterday. I personally think that the fans have done a pretty good job with how they voted for their starters this year. Do you have someone who's not leading their position who you think they should be?
It's an interesting question. I also think these were pretty good standouts, like PCA leading with 1.1 mil in the National League. The biggest snub for me, it's got to be James Wood in 9th place in the National League for the outfield. Like, that's a guy that I think should absolutely be starting. Like, you're going to get your 2 Cubs there, and then the last spot's kind of up for grabs. We just did the Talking Baseball All-May team, whatever, last month, and we were like locked in. James Wood absolutely gets a spot. He's in 9th place with 383,000 votes. So Nats fans, get your natitude up. Get James Wood to the All-Star game because he's one of the bright young stars of this game. Every time he steps into the box against my Mets, I am terrified. He's already got 3 WAR on the season. He's on pace for a 6 WAR year, 928 OPS, all fields hitter. He's only, 22 years old. Get him to the All-Star game stat.
Love that. I also think it's the outfield for me. I'm going American League. Right now, Aaron Judge is leading it, rightfully so, and he'll get in. And then there's a phase 2. The next 2 guys will be chosen to fill out the rest of the All-Star outfield. And right now, number 2 is Riley Green. Number 3 is Mike Trout. No disrespect to those guys, but I'm a Steven Kwan stan. I think Julio Rodriguez deserves to be there. So, Seattle fans, that's actually shocking to me that Seattle fans have not bought in to what Julio Rodriguez has done for them. And maybe it has something to do with the slide that they've gone on now. Earlier in the season, I bet Julio would have been up there, and maybe the fans are kind of feeling that a little bit. But I think, the outfield needs a little bit of shakeup, but that's really difficult to go across the league and vote for your top 3. So I understand that. The only other one I had was Ernie Clement, because where do you put him? If you had him as a second baseman, I think he should lead AL second baseman, but he plays more third base, and he's kind of mixed all over the place. So any guy that's like a util type player often gets overlooked in all-star voting. And I love me some Ernie Clement, man.
Did you see the 3rd place American League DH?
I'm getting it up right now.
Mike Tauchman on the White Sox.
Mike Tauchman.
I get a big kick out of that. I like that a lot.
Byron Buxton needs to also be in the mix for the
AL.
I know
honestly,
he's just missed some games. So like I take that highly into consideration when I'm talking all-star. Like, have you played all the games? That means a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And now, we'll see how this goes down. But again, I think we did this last year too, and the fans did a good job with their all-star voting. We've seen in years past where shoot, man, it's been one fan base has taken it over, i.e., like the Royals in 2015 and 16. They were just voting everybody into the All-Star game. But recently, it's been a lot better. So good job, guys. And that's going to do it for our show today. Appreciate you, Jolly, filling in. We are going to record, spoiler alert, tonight. I think you guys got something going on. Is it a warehouse stuff? But I'll have Dalton Feely on with me for the show that'll come out tomorrow. So stay here. Stay tuned every day during the week. You know Baseball Today is coming your way. So for Jolly Olive, the Dirty Martini, for super producer Dan Rourke, and intern Sawyer, I am Trevor Plouffe. We'll see you next time on Baseball Today.
Chris Rose, you're out.
Out.